Hello everyone, I am here with your art fill of the day, and that's going through this watercolor sketchbook. So this sketchbook I started in 2024. It actually took me quite a while to fill up. And this was me trying out the Cotman watercolor palette, and I did just this was from a photo from my backyard. It didn't go out and just sit there in the sun and paint this, but I took this in my backyard, so I was trying out this landscape palette by using a reference from my backyard. This is my I did a 3-color challenge, I think, because I bought these 3 new colors of just watercolor tubes. So I did a cat rolling around in the grass with these 3 colors. And then this was one year during 2024 Mermay, and I got inspiration from this image of this fish to then kind of create a mermaid version of this fish. And this was me trying out with this watercolor palette again, basically practicing my landscapes, but also trying out this new watercolor palette. And I believe based on the date of this watercolor shark, I did this hammerhead shark during Shark Week. And this is also a video on my channel that I painted some peacocks and then did more of a final peacock after I did my practice on the page before. And this was also some more trying to add in some perspective practice. A lot of these have their own dedicated videos. And this was the Year of the Snake Chinese New Year illustration. Now we're getting into 2025. This was my Patronus illustration practice. And some Jeff the Shark, if you are a Marvel fan or a Marvel Rivals fan. I did Jeff the Shark was my letter J for my character challenge that I'm going through the alphabet for. And this was my trying to paint with coffee video. So this is all from coffee grounds that I basically watered down like a watercolor paint. Then we have, it looks like I tried out some of my watercolor markers on this page. So my swatches are up here, and then I did just a little mini landscape to try them out. And then I did a little bit larger landscape to try out these watercolor markers more. And this one I was inspired by another image I took on my phone of clouds and just how the sun was kind of hitting them. So I tried to recreate that with this cloud painting. Then I did some more landscape type practice, and I think I tried to work with different color combinations with these, because as you can see I tried to use cooler colors in this one and then the more warm colors in this one. And these 2 pages are my Kiki from Kiki's Delivery Service practice with actually there's graphite pencils that you can water down like a watercolor pencil, but they're more of a grayscale. And then like the other images, I did a full watercolor of Kiki, but I decided in the end this was another letter the letter K for my character challenge, and I ended up ultimately deciding to do a digital painting, but I did practice a bunch of different layouts for how I could do Kiki. And here's I tried to do almost like an impressionistic style with the watercolor for this sunset water landscape, again, painting. And then these 2 pages were just practicing little bubbles of different textures, and it was also a way to play around with color a little bit more. Then this next one I painted on September 11th. I painted this American flag, and then this is pretty recent. I created the Year of the Horse Chinese New Year illustration, so that one's pretty recent on this channel for that video. This page I was practicing some different fabric to see how I can use watercolor to create a fabric texture. Because I'm used to doing acrylic paint, I understand more how to do this texture with acrylic, but with watercolor it's kind of a different set of steps to be able to create the fabric texture. So I was just practicing, and I uploaded this as a short, but I kind of just went in being creative with this one. I started with just having that fun background of making it super watery looking, and then I decided it would be fun to go over in black outline with paint, not necessarily the black micron pens. So I started with this tiger, and then I decided to add more tigers and add more like foliage in there. And this continues on into the next page too. I played around with creating a super watery background, and as you can see, I let things drip on this water and then kind of created it into this sunset image. And this is another practice for landscape for me. I wanted to remember how to try and do lighting effects a little bit with adding shadows and leaving some things light, darkening other areas to create that lighting behind something. And then I read a manga about ramen and wanted to create my own ramen images. So this is my practice page of ramen noodle soups. And this one is because I read the book Project Hail Mary, and I just got inspired to create some kind of like space type image, and also wanted like to create a different color scheme for a galaxy, because usually you see more of a darker tone to space. I wanted to create more of a light, fun tone. And this is a page of chickens. So I just practiced doing some watercolor chickens. And my final page, I played around once again with color, wet on wet methods, and just created another landscape. I tried to make it almost like a sunset behind the trees, and that purpley hue that clouds get sometimes. I tried to recreate that with this and use minimal line and just let the paint itself create the trees and cloud forms. And that's the end of this sketchbook. I already have my next watercolor sketchbook. So I'll be opening this guy up and using this one incrementally. It probably, I don't know if it'll take me 3 years like it took me this one, but I plan on using this watercolor sketchbook next. So if you enjoyed going through my watercolor sketchbook with me, please subscribe and also like this video, and I will see you next time for your next art fill.